The peaceful hum of the Starweaver's engines filled the bridge as Commander Lisa Blackwell gazed at the viewscreen. The distant star of Ta Ceti glowed like a beacon, calling humanity deeper into space than they had ever ventured before. "Sensor readings confirmed," Commander said Science Officer Alan Pierce, his eyes fixed on his console. "We're detecting artificial structures in orbit around the fourth planet. Definitely not natural." Lisa's heart raced. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally found proof they weren't alone. "Record everything," she ordered, "and open a channel on all frequencies." The bridge crew worked with focused intensity. This moment would change human history forever. Communications specialist Damon Wright, a young officer with bright eyes and steady hands, prepared the first contact message they had rehearsed countless times. "Message ready," Commander Damon said. "Universal greeting package loaded with mathematical sequences, basic language primers, and peaceful imagery." Lisa nodded. "Send it." The message shot through space toward the alien structures. Minutes passed in tense silence. "We're receiving a response," Damon announced suddenly. I think they're acknowledging us." "They're moving," interrupted the tactical officer. "Multiple vessels detaching from the orbital structure and heading our way." Lisa studied the approaching ships. They were beautiful in a strange way. Curved, with surfaces that seemed to shimmer and change color like oil on water. 5 of them moved in perfect formation toward the Starweaver. "Maintain position," Lisa ordered. "Let's not appear threatening. Continue broadcasting welcome messages." Alan looked up from his console. "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the lead vessel. They might be scanning us." The alien ships drew closer, surrounding the Starweaver in a 5-point pattern. No further communications came despite Damon's continued efforts. "Something's wrong," Lisa said, feeling a chill crawl up her spine. "Raise shields and—" Before she could finish, a pulse of energy shot from each alien ship, connecting in a web around the Starweaver. The lights flickered and control panels went dark. "We've lost main power," shouted the engineering officer. "Backup systems failing. Get a distress signal to Earth now," Lisa commanded. Damon worked frantically at his station, which was one of the few still functioning. "Regular channels are being blocked, but I can try a quantum burst transmission. It won't have much data, but—" "Do it," Lisa cut in. "Tell them we found something, and it's hostile." The ship shuddered as a larger beam from the lead alien vessel, now identified as belonging to a species calling themselves the Xorathi, locked onto the Starweaver and began pulling it toward their main structure. "Distress signal away," Damon confirmed, just before his console went dark. The bridge fell into emergency lighting. Through the view screen, the crew watched helplessly as they were towed toward an enormous hangar bay in the Xorathi station. "All personnel, prepare for boarding," Lisa announced over the internal comms. "Remember your training. We represent all of humanity now." The Starweaver was pulled inside the alien structure. Strange figures moved behind viewing ports, studying the human vessel. Lisa could only imagine what they were thinking, what they wanted. Hours later, the crew of the Starweaver found themselves separated and confined in transparent cells. Lisa watched as Xorathi scientists moved between workstations, occasionally stopping to observe the humans as if they were specimens in a zoo. Alan was in a cell across from hers. "They took blood samples," he whispered. "They're studying us." Lisa pressed her hand against the clear barrier. Damon got the message out. "Earth knows something's wrong." "Will it matter?" Alan asked. "We're 12 light years from home." "It matters," Lisa said firmly. "Humans don't abandon their own. They'll come for us." What neither of them knew was that their capture was only the beginning. Above them, in a conference chamber, the Xorathi were already sending messages to their allies across the stars. Humanity had been discovered, and the galaxy was deciding what to do about it. The Xorathi leaders gathered in their Grand Council chamber. Holographic displays showed images of the captured human vessel and its crew. The chief scientist, his skin rippling with patterns of excitement, addressed the assembly. "These humans develop technology at an alarming rate," he explained. "Their historical records show they went from primitive flight to space travel in less than a century. If left unchecked, they could become a significant threat." Messages went out across the stars to the members of the consortium, the ruling alliance of 7 advanced species that controlled most of the known galaxy. Emergency meetings were called as the discovery of humanity became the most discussed topic among alien civilizations. On the consortium's central world, representatives debated the human question. The Xorethi pushed for immediate containment. The Veltrax suggested study and possible integration. The militaristic Dorzak advocated for preventive measures. "We have seen this pattern before," argued the Dorzak commander. "Young species with aggressive expansion tendencies and adaptable minds. They should be isolated now, before they develop further." After 3 days of debate, the consortium reached its decision. Humanity would be confined to its solar system. Any attempt to expand beyond would be met with force. Monitoring stations would be established to ensure compliance. Meanwhile, 12 light-years away, Earth received the distress signal from the Starweaver. The brief message sent panic through the highest levels of government. In an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Military Director Kate Summers called an emergency meeting. Top scientists, military commanders, and intelligence officials gathered around a large table. The Starweaver's message was clear, Kate said, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "They found intelligent alien life, and it's hostile. Our people have been taken." The room erupted in questions and concerns. Kate raised her hand for silence. "We've kept a project in reserve for exactly this scenario," she continued. "Operation Homecoming." Captain Ethan Moore stepped forward. A tall man with serious eyes and a determined expression stood up. "Captain Moore has been training a specialized team for deep space rescue operations," Kate explained, "and we have a ship ready." Screens around the room displayed images of a sleek vessel unlike any publicly known spacecraft. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "The Defiance," Kate said, "built with our most advanced stealth and weapons technology. It can reach Ta Ceti in 1/3 the time of the Starweaver." Captain Moore addressed the group. "My team is ready. We'll find our people and bring them home." "This isn't just a rescue mission," Kate added. "We need intelligence. We need to know what we're facing and why they took hostile action." For the next week, Moore's team prepared for the mission. The 12 crew members of the Defiance trained in combat scenarios and diplomatic protocols. They studied the limited data from the Starweaver's transmission and prepared for every possible outcome. Chief Engineer Ryan Cooper oversaw the final checks on the experimental drive system. Medical Officer Wendy Baker prepared treatments for unknown alien environments. Security Chief Gregory Newman ran combat drills with his team. Everyone understood the gravity of their mission. They would be humanity's first line of defense. The night before launch, Captain Moore stood alone in the observation deck, looking up at the stars. Lieutenant Diane Miller found him there. "Worried about what we'll find?" she asked. "Worried about what happens after," Moore replied. "If there's hostile alien life out there, this mission could be the beginning of something much bigger." "At least we won't face it alone," Diane said. "The whole world's united on this one." The next morning, the Defiance launched in secret. As Earth disappeared behind them, Moore addressed his crew. "Whatever we find out there, remember this: we represent everything humanity stands for. Our mission is rescue and information, not revenge. But make no mistake, we will bring our people home." What none of them knew was that the consortium was already dispatching forces to ensure humanity would never expand beyond their solar system again. The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Ta Ceti system. Captain Moore ordered immediate stealth protocols. The ship's unique hull absorbed scanning signals rather than reflecting them. "Passive sensors only," Moore ordered. "Let's see what we're dealing with before they see us." The data came in slowly but painted a clear picture. The system teemed with alien activity. Massive structures orbited the fourth planet. Dozens of ships moved between them in organized patterns. "This isn't just an outpost," said Lieutenant Diane Miller as she studied the sensor readings. "It's a major installation." Science Officer Victor Reed nodded. "And those energy signatures suggest they're far more advanced than us." Detecting the Starweaver now. It's docked inside the largest structure. Moore frowned. "Are our people still aboard?" Victor adjusted his scanner settings. "Negative. I'm detecting human life signs in a different section of the station. They appear to be separated." The rescue team gathered in the briefing room. Moore displayed a holographic map of the alien station based on their scans. "This is a high-risk infiltration," he told them. "We'll use the Defiance's shuttle with stealth modifications. Security Chief Newman will lead the ground team. Our priority is extracting our people alive." Gregory Newman reviewed the tactical plan with his team of 4. They would enter through a maintenance access point, locate the crew, and extract them before the aliens realize what was happening. Engineer Ryan Cooper handed out small devices to the team. "These will disrupt their security systems for short periods. Plant them as you go." At 200 ship time, the rescue began. The shuttle detached from the Defiance and drifted toward the station, using minimal power to avoid detection. They reached the access point without incident. Inside, the team moved through strange corridors with walls that seemed alive, pulsing with faint light. They placed disruption devices at key junctions as they followed Victor's directions toward the human life signs. They found the Starweaver crew in transparent cells, being studied like zoo animals. Commander Lisa Blackwell was the first to see them. Her eyes widened in shock as Newman signaled for silence. The team worked quickly, disabling the cell controls. As they freed the captives, Science Officer Alan Pierce grabbed Newman's arm. "They're called the Chorathi," he whispered urgently. "They're part of something bigger, a consortium of species. They've been watching Earth for decades." While the team led the rescued crew back toward the shuttle, Paul Garcia, the Defiance's computer specialist, noticed a data terminal. Despite the risk, he connected a device to it. "What are you doing?" hissed Newman. "We need to go." "Getting answers," Paul replied, his fingers flying over his portable interface. "They have files on Earth, historical records, surveillance. I'm copying everything." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights pulsed along the walls. "They've detected the data breach," shouted Newman. "Run." The combined teams sprinted for the shuttle. Behind them, strange multi-limbed figures appeared in the corridors. Energy weapons fired, scorching the walls around them. They reached the shuttle just as security forces closed in. The pilot launched immediately, racing back toward the Defiance as alien vessels scrambled to pursue. The Defiance was already powering up as the shuttle docked. "Everyone hold on," Moore ordered as the ship accelerated away from the station. Multiple alien vessels gave chase. The Defiance shuddered as energy weapons struck its shields. "Jump drive charging," called the navigator. 30 seconds to escape. Paul was already at a terminal, examining the stolen data. His face paled. "Captain, you need to see this," he said. "The consortium. It's not just the Chorathi. It's 7 advanced species that control most of the galaxy. And they'd voted to contain humanity in our solar system. This was just a scouting mission for them." The ship jumped to safety just as the alien weapons began penetrating their shields. As stars stretched around them, Moore looked at the rescued crew and then at the devastating information on the screen. "We're not alone in the universe," he said grimly. "And we're not welcome." The return of the Defiance to Earth triggered an unprecedented global response. Within hours of their landing, the leaders of every major nation convened in an emergency session. The evidence brought back from Ta City, along with the testimony of the rescued Starweaver crew, eliminated all doubt. Humanity faced an existential threat from beyond the stars. Admiral Henry Jones, a veteran naval commander who had been selected to lead Earth's unified defense effort, stood before the assembled world leaders. His weathered face remained calm despite the gravity of the situation. "The consortium has been observing us for generations," he explained, gesturing to the alien data Paul Garcia had stolen. "They've labeled us a rapid development species with concerning expansion tendencies. Their standard protocol is containment, followed by control, and finally absorption into their hierarchy, if we prove useful." The room fell silent as images from the alien database displayed on the main screen. Earth at various points in history. Monitoring devices disguised as asteroids. Detailed analyses of human biology and psychology. "They know us," Admiral Jones continued, "but they've underestimated us. The consortium believes we'll either submit or fail. We must prove them wrong on both counts." The next day, the SHIELD protocol began. Military bases converted to spacecraft production facilities. Orbital platforms expanded into defensive stations. Scientists worked around the clock, applying insights from the stolen alien data to advance human technology. Dr. Olivia Martinez led the research team at Geneva Advanced Physics Laboratory. A brilliant physicist with an uncanny ability to see connections others missed, she focused on the aliens' SHIELD technology. "The consortium ships use energy fields that adapt to attacks," she explained to her team. "But there's a pattern to the adaptations. If we can predict it, we can overcome it." For 3 months, Olivia barely left her laboratory. She slept on a cot in her office, worked through meals, and tested countless simulations. Her breakthrough came at 3:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. "It's not just adaptive, it's predictive," she exclaimed to her startled assistants. "Their shields anticipate based on initial energy patterns. If we modulate our weapons to shift patterns mid-beam, we can bypass their defenses entirely." As Earth prepared, the first consortium scout ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. They didn't approach immediately, but established monitoring positions. Earth's new defense network detected them despite their stealth technology. Admiral Jones ordered silence. "Let them watch," he told his officers. "Let them think their technology still gives them the advantage." On Mars, the first human colony expanded rapidly. Instead of the scientific outpost it had been, it transformed into a fortified position with underground complexes and defense systems hidden beneath the red soil. Similar preparations took place on the Moon, where mining operations accelerated to gather resources for Earth's armada. 6 months after the Defiance's return, a massive consortium vessel appeared near Jupiter. It broadcast a message to Earth in perfect English. "Humans of Earth," the alien voice announced. "We are the consortium, a union of advanced civilizations that maintains order in this sector of the galaxy. Your species has been evaluated and found to be potentially disruptive to galactic stability. You will restrict all activities to your home planet and its moon. Any attempt to establish presence beyond these boundaries will result in immediate correction. This is not negotiable." The world leaders gathered again to formulate a response. After hours of debate, they reached unanimity. Admiral Jones delivered humanity's answer. "We received your message. Humans have always explored and always will. We have the right to develop as we choose. We seek peaceful relations with all species, but we will not be confined. Consider this our first and only response to your ultimatum." The consortium ship remained in position for 3 days before departing. Everyone knew this wasn't the end, but merely the beginning of the conflict. In his command center, Admiral Jones watched the alien vessel leave. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "And in greater numbers." Olivia nodded beside him. "But this time, we'll be ready for them." The consortium attack came 30 days later. Their fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near Mars. 57 vessels of various sizes arranged in a precise formation. Without warning or final ultimatum, they opened fire on the human settlements. Energy beams lanced down toward the Martian surface, targeting the main colony dome and research stations. The aliens expected swift destruction, a decisive demonstration of power that would force Earth to surrender. Instead, the beams struck invisible barriers that flared blue on impact. Dr. Martinez's adaptive shield technology, deployed in secret across all human outposts, absorbed and redirected the energy attacks. In the command center beneath Olympus Mons, Fleet Commander Nicole Foster watched the enemy fleet on her tactical display. Her dark eyes narrowed as she studied their formation. "They're confused," she said to her officers. "They expected this to be over in minutes. Activate Defense Grid Alpha." Hidden silos opened across the Martian surface. Missile batteries and energy cannons rose from beneath the red soil. The first counterattack of humanity struck the unprepared consortium vessels with precisely calculated force. "Target their smaller ships first," Nicole ordered. "Disrupt their formation." The Martian defenses fired in coordinated sequences, changing energy patterns mid-beam just as Dr. Martinez had designed. Consortium shields failed against the unpredictable attacks. 3 smaller alien vessels erupted in silent explosions. Similar scenes played out at the lunar colonies. Disguised defense platforms activated, catching the consortium forces in crossfire. The aliens adjusted quickly, redirecting their forces and adapting their shield frequencies. From Earth, Admiral Jones monitored the battle. "Launch the fleet," he commanded. "Execute Operation Spearhead." Hidden shipyards in Earth orbit disgorged humanity's response. 100 vessels of varying sizes, led by the newly commissioned heavy cruiser Vanguard. The Earth fleet accelerated toward Mars, weapons charged and ready. The consortium commander, not expecting such resistance, divided his forces to deal with this new threat. It was exactly what Nicole had hoped for. "They're splitting their formation," she reported. "Launch the Furies." Small, nimble fighter craft burst from concealed hangars on Mars and the Moon, piloted by Earth's best. They swarmed the larger consortium vessels, exploiting gaps in their defenses created by the divided attention. Pilot Jesse Ward led the attack on the consortium flagship, a massive vessel twice the size of anything humans had built. His squadron darted around the energy beams fired by the alien ship. "Target their propulsion systems," Jesse instructed his pilots. Pattern Delta approach. The human fighters attacked from multiple angles, their weapons cycling through frequencies faster than the alien shields could adapt. The flagship's engines flared, and then dimmed as critical systems failed. Nicole saw the opportunity. "All units focus fire on the disabled flagship," she ordered. The combined firepower of the Martian defense grid and the Earth fleet converged on the consortium command ship. Its shields failed sector by sector until a final barrage breached its power core. The resulting explosion temporarily blinded sensors across the battlefield. When visibility returned, the remaining consortium vessels were retreating, gathering around a single large cruiser. Several drifted helplessly, damaged beyond their ability to repair quickly. "The Vanguard can intercept that damaged cruiser," reported Nicole's tactical officer. She considered for a moment. "Do it. We need their technology and any intelligence we can gather." The Vanguard broke from the main fleet, firing disabling shots at the crippled alien vessel. Specialized boarding teams prepared for the first human capture of an alien ship. As the battle wound down, Nicole received reports from all sectors. Human casualties were significant, but far less than anticipated. The Martian and lunar colonies remained intact. Most importantly, they had proven that humanity could stand against the consortium's supposedly superior technology. In his command center on Earth, Admiral Jones received Nicole's preliminary report. A grim smile crossed his face. "They came expecting to find primitives cowering under their superior firepower," he told his staff. "Instead, they found an enemy that learns, adapts, and fights back. They won't make the same mistake twice, and neither will we." The captured consortium vessel would provide humanity with new technologies to reverse engineer and vital information about their enemy. The first battle was over, but the war had just begun. The captured consortium cruiser yielded unexpected treasures. As human engineers carefully explored its systems, they discovered something strange. Modifications to the standard design that didn't match known consortium technology. More surprising still was the message hidden in the ship's secondary communication system. It repeats on a narrow frequency, explained Communications Officer Linda Peterson. It's in a language we haven't seen before, but the computer identifies it as Tellurian. Admiral Jones ordered the message decoded. 3 days later, it yielded its secret: coordinates for a meeting location in the asteroid belt, and a simple phrase: "Not all serve willingly." The implications were clear. Someone inside the consortium wanted contact. After intense debate, Earth's leadership decided to send a representative. They chose Sam Collins, a skilled diplomat with a background in xenobiology. His mission: meet these Tellurians and determine if they offered a genuine alliance or a clever trap. The rendezvous vessel, a small, heavily armed scout ship called the Seeker, reached the coordinates exactly at the specified time. They waited in silence, sensors scanning the surrounding space. "Contact," reported the pilot. "Small vessel approaching. Configuration unknown." Sam watched on the view screen as an elegant ship with flowing lines appeared from behind an asteroid. It bore no visible weapons, though scans showed it was well shielded. "They're sending a transmission," said the communications officer. "Audio only." "Humans of Earth," came a melodic voice, speaking perfect English. "I am Zixer of the Tellurian Reform Movement. I come alone and unarmed. May we speak?" Sam took a deep breath. "This is Sam Collins representing Earth. We're willing to talk." Both ships docked at an abandoned mining facility on a medium-sized asteroid. Security teams swept the area before Sam entered the meeting room. He found himself facing a being unlike any the captured consortium data had shown. Zixer stood slightly taller than a human, with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. Large, expressive eyes studied Sam with unmistakable curiosity. When Zixer spoke, small gill-like structures on their neck fluttered. "Thank you for coming," said Zixer. "We have waited generations for a species like yours." Sam sat across from the alien. "What exactly does that mean?" "A species that can fight back," Zixer explained. "The consortium isn't what it claims to be. It began as a mutual protection agreement between 3 species, but it evolved into an empire. The original members, the Xorethi, Veltrax, and Dorzak, now rule over 17 subjugated worlds." "Including yours," Sam guessed. "Yes, the Tellurians were much like humans once. We expanded too quickly, developed technology that worried the established powers. The consortium offered us protection and guidance. When we refused, they attacked. That was 200 years ago. Now we serve in their fleets and build their weapons." Sam leaned forward. "Why reach out to us? Why take the risk?" "Because you did what we couldn't," said Zixer, emotion clear in their voice. "You stood against them and won. The news of your victory has spread through subjugated worlds like wildfire. For the first time in generations, there is hope." Over the next hours, Zixer shared critical intelligence, consortium fleet movements, weaknesses in their technology, and most importantly, the locations of other resistance groups on different worlds. "We are scattered and careful," Zixer explained. "Direct rebellion would be crushed, but with humanity as an ally, as a symbol, we could coordinate our efforts." Sam returned to Earth with the most valuable resource in the fight against the consortium: allies from within. Within weeks, secure communication channels were established with resistance groups on 6 different worlds. In a secret meeting with Earth's leadership, Sam presented the alliance proposal. "The Tellurians offer us technical knowledge beyond what we've reverse-engineered," he explained. "In return, they ask for our help in liberating their homeworld and others from consortium control." Admiral Jones studied the information. "It changes everything. This isn't just about defending Earth anymore. It's about reshaping the power structure of this part of the galaxy." Earth's response was unanimous. The alliance was approved. As Zixar prepared to return to Tellurian space with the good news, they shared one final insight with Sam. "The consortium has never faced a true coalition of diverse species working together as equals," they said. "They don't understand the concept. Their empire is built on domination and fear. That will be their downfall. The fleet assembled near Alpha Centauri was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human vessels with their angular, practical designs flew alongside the organic curves of Tellurian ships. Smaller craft from a dozen formerly subjugated worlds filled the spaces between them. Each brought unique technologies and tactics to the Alliance. Grand Admiral Frank Bennett stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Resolute, watching as the final ships took position. His weathered face showed little emotion, but his eyes revealed pride in what humanity had helped build in just 18 months. "Final reports coming in, Admiral," said his executive officer. "All battle groups report ready status." Frank nodded. "And our intelligence?" "Confirmed, sir. The consortium has committed nearly 70% of their fleet to this engagement. They're determined to end the rebellion here." The Admiral wasn't surprised. After a series of successful strikes against consortium outposts and the liberation of 3 subjugated worlds, the ruling species had finally recognized the true threat they faced. This battle would determine the future of the galaxy. "Open a channel to all Allied vessels," Frank ordered. As the communication system activated, he looked at the faces of his diverse bridge crew. Humans working alongside aliens who had become trusted comrades. "This is Grand Admiral Bennett to all ships," he began. "Today we face the full might of the consortium. They have ruled through fear for centuries. They believe their technological advantage and numbers will crush us. They are wrong." He paused, letting his words reach every vessel in the fleet. "We fight not just for our own freedom, but for all sentient beings who deserve to chart their own course among the stars. Remember your training. Trust your allies. Victory isn't about destroying their ships. It's about showing the galaxy that the consortium can be defeated." Across the fleet, crews prepared for battle. On the Tellurian command ship, Zixer directed their forces with calm precision. On smaller vessels, resistance fighters who had hidden in shadows for generations now stood ready to fight in the open. The consortium fleet appeared exactly where intelligence had predicted. A massive armada of over 600 vessels arranged in their traditional formation. At their center was the Dominion, a dreadnought 3 times larger than any other ship in the battle. "They're broadcasting," reported the communications officer. "Standard surrender demand." "No response necessary," Frank replied. "Execute Operation Sundering." The Allied fleet, which had appeared to be in a defensive posture, suddenly split into 3 distinct attack groups. They accelerated toward the consortium formation from different vectors, confusing the enemy command structure. The consortium responded by dividing their forces as well, exactly as planned. The battle erupted across a vast area of space, energy weapons flashing between vessels as fighters darted between larger ships. On the Resolute, Frank monitored the tactical display. "Commit our reserves to Sector 4, he ordered. "The Tellurians have drawn out their flanking units." The human ships moved with practiced precision, exploiting gaps in the consortium formation. Dr. Martinez's adaptive shield technology had been shared across the Allied fleet, giving them crucial protection against the enemy's most powerful weapons. 3 hours into the battle, the momentum shifted decisively. The consortium's rigid command structure couldn't adapt to the fluid tactics of the Alliance. Their ships, designed to fight in perfect coordination, found themselves isolated and vulnerable. "The Dominion is attempting to rally their forces," reported the tactical officer. "They're pulling back to regroup." Frank saw his opportunity. "All command vessels, focus on the Dominion. Break their center." The Allied fleet converged on the consortium flagship. Despite its powerful defenses, the combined firepower eventually overwhelmed its shields. Critical systems failed across the massive vessel. "They're powering down weapons," came the report. "The Dominion is surrendering." As the remaining consortium vessels retreated or surrendered, Frank ordered a ship-wide broadcast from the Resolute. His message went not just to the Allied fleet but was transmitted to every consortium world and outpost within range. "To all worlds under consortium control," he began, his voice steady and clear. This is Grand Admiral Frank Bennett of Earth. Today marks the end of the consortium as you have known it. Their fleet is defeated, their leadership captured. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. This is humanity's first and last warning to the galaxy. We came in peace. You chose war. You cannot win against us, not because we're stronger, but because we never stop learning, never stop adapting, and never ever surrender. 5 years after the great battle at Alpha Centauri, the galaxy had transformed. The Galactic Cooperative, as the new alliance called itself, established its central meeting place on a neutral planet circling the yellow star. The massive structure, with its soaring arches and open spaces, welcomed representatives from over 30 species. Jack Wilson, Earth's ambassador to the cooperative, walked through the grand hall before the day's session began. The early morning light streamed through crystal windows, creating rainbows across the polished floor. He paused to watch representatives from formerly warring worlds engaged in friendly conversation. "Still amazed by what we've built?" asked a familiar voice. Jack turned to see Zixar approaching. The Tellurian diplomat now served as first coordinator of the cooperative, elected by unanimous vote of the founding members. "Every day," Jack admitted. "Sometimes I forget how close we came to destruction." Zixar nodded, the gill-like structures on their neck fluttering gently. The Xorethi delegation arrives today, their first official visit since accepting provisional membership. The mention of the former consortium leaders made Jack tense slightly. The Xorethi had been the last to acknowledge the new reality, clinging to their former power until internal pressure forced their leadership to change. "Are we ready for them?" Jack asked. "More importantly, are they ready for us?" Zixar replied with the subtle humor that had become their trademark. They walked together toward the central chamber, where representatives would soon gather. Along the way, they passed the Hall of Remembrance, where images and names of those lost in the conflict were displayed. Jack always slowed his pace here, paying silent respect. Inside the main chamber, preparations for the day's session were underway. The circular room featured rising tiers of seats, with no species placed above others. At the center stood the speaker's platform, today occupied by Dr. Olivia Martinez. After the war, she had shifted her genius from weapons to communication technologies, creating systems that allowed diverse species to understand each other without delay or misinterpretation. "The translator updates are complete," Olivia reported as Jack and Zixar approached. "We're ready for the Xorethi language patterns." Jack smiled at his old friend. Hard to believe they once studied us like specimens. Now they're coming to learn from us. The chamber filled gradually as representatives took their seats. The atmosphere was businesslike but friendly, a stark contrast to the fear and suspicion that had dominated interspecies relations under consortium rule. When the Xorethi delegation entered, a momentary hush fell over the room. Their once imposing forms seemed somehow smaller now, their movements careful and measured. Their leader, a female named Shrelks, approached the central platform. "We come seeking understanding," she said, her words flowing smoothly through Olivia's translation system. "For centuries, we believed order could only come through control. We were wrong." From his seat, Jack watched the reactions around the chamber. Some species, those who had suffered most under consortium rule, showed skepticism. Others displayed openness to reconciliation. The day's sessions proceeded through discussions of trade routes, scientific exchange programs, and diplomatic protocols. Throughout it all, Jack noticed how often other species looked to humans for guidance or approval. That evening, as representatives gathered for a cultural exchange event, Admiral Frank Bennett, now retired from military service, but serving as a special advisor, joined Jack on a balcony overlooking the gathering. "They still see us as the leaders," Frank observed, "even though we're one of the youngest species here." Jack nodded. "It worries me sometimes. Power has a way of corrupting, even with the best intentions. That's why we insisted on the cooperative structure," Frank reminded him. "No single species can dominate. Every voice matters." Below them, Music from a dozen worlds blended in surprising harmony. Representatives danced or observed according to their customs, learning from each other without judgment. 5 years ago, we sent a warning to the galaxy, Jack said quietly. Now we're sending a different message. Frank smiled. And what's that? Jack gestured to the diverse gathering below. That the strength they feared in us wasn't our technology or our weapons. It was our ability to build connections, to see value in differences, to learn from everyone we meet.